Howdy, folks, and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. And tonight we got another great show for you. I hope that you're all enjoying these alien shows, the alien interview tonight with the alien interview. And this book is, we've been reading out of it. Now you can find this book on Amazon, eBay, and probably a bunch of other places. But tonight, just like always, I do have a PDF for it, and you're more than welcome to have it. Just go and email me. My email is in the description below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I don't care which. Something is better than nothing. Well, anyway, with that said, let's talk a little bit about aliens. Aliens have been in the news lately. They seem to be all over the place. And where are they? I don't know. It seems like the government is always trying to cover it up. Why? That's what I'm trying to say. Why is the government trying to cover up aliens? Or is there secret dark programs? Or is there a secret government trying to cover it up? Is this book the real deal? And are they, is it another alien race trying to cover its tracks for what is going on? Is this whole thing a charade and we just don't know it? Well, that's kind of the big question. I mean, I think everybody's got on their mind to ask it, is what is really going on? And we don't know. We've been brainwashed. Lots of amnesia going on. And yet, we still keep thinking we know, and we have no clue. According to this book, Ariel shows us that the world of beings, this domain has been around for millions and trillions of years, something we can't even wrap our head around. So what is a trillion? A trillion would be a stack of $1 bills piled up on top of each other, spanning from here to the moon. Wrap your head around that. So that's a trillion. How many trillions are we in debt? With the government. That's the bigger question. Trillion years. Now multiply that times a bunch. Several trillion years. In a trillion years, if you could exist that long, what kind of accomplishments could you do? You could take 1,000,000 years to just become an accomplished artist. Think of what great works you could do. And you could take another 1,000,000 years to learn how to play an instrument. You could take another 1,000,000 years. You see where I'm going? To become an engineer or a computer programmer. And then think about all the advancements that would come out of it. Would you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again for hundreds and hundreds of years without making improvements? Of course you wouldn't. You'd be making improvements all the time. Look at our world right now. We make improvements continuously. Every year they come out with a new car that has some really cool functions, or they come up with a cell phone. And this one has the iPhone 8, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12. What are they up to? 14 now? Every year, they're almost the same. They just have a little bit difference. But it's an upgrade, an upgrade, an upgrade. Just think about what will happen in, say 1,000 years. What kind of upgrade will it be then? Will you just have a phone in your brain? You're born, they stick a thing in you, and then, you got a phone in your brain. Phone rings, it's ringing. You hear it in your head. Anyway, and you say to yourself, the phone is ringing, and then you answer. You can go, answer phone. I mean, look at, we got computers that do things for us. Alexa, Siri. Right now we just speak to them, and that voice goes to the collective computer, which tells us things, from a big giant database. Just imagine yourself 1,000 years from now, how that database is going to, big that database will be. And then imagine what kind of device they will put it in. Will it be in your little handheld phone? Well, you might not even have a handheld phone. Will they make it into a humanoid robot looking thing? What will they do with that? Will they just make a synthetic biological being and then put it all in there and it'll walk around like your personal assistant? Maybe that's what they'll do. But for the most part, I really don't know. I don't know. The world is at our beckoning call, and the powers that be seems to me are trying to limit us thinkers, into like not inventing anymore. 100 years ago, the world was our oyster, and we could do whatever we wanted. We could invent things, crazy things. It was like they wanted us to invent stuff. It was like they wanted new inventions. Everybody. I went to a museum recently, and in that museum, they had a number of tractors. And those tractors were all in a row, and each one was pretty much a different model of a different brand. And I started looking at them, and I'm thinking, well, there's a Fordson, and there's a Ford, and there's a Minneapolis Moline, and there's one I've never heard about before, and there's a John Deere, and you go on down the line. And some of these tractors, I don't know where they were made, in crazy ass places, right here in the United States. And since then, the only one I could recognize was the John Deere brand. Other than that, all the rest have gone to the wayside. They've all gotten bought up by some other big company, and they're gone. Hey, Witch Moon. There's Witch Moon. She's watching. Anyway, and that's the whole point. They get bought up, and they become a big giant corporation company. Now, just imagine that John Deere is the giant corporation company that has all tractors. So there's no other tractor brand you can buy. And they think about it and they go, well, we're just going to invent different tractor brands, but we'll still be the tractor brand. We're just going to make, 15 different other brands so that you think you have a choice. But you really don't. You don't have a choice. You're still buying from the same company. They just put a different logo on it. They made a little bit different styling, but the money still goes to them. Now, what am I getting out of this? Because they are in control. It's all propaganda. Just like we were talking about last night. And if you haven't heard last night's one, it was talking about propaganda, about these, corporations that are working for the universe. Universal corporations, put it that way. And they're making seeds, and they're making, seeds, how should I say, plants and animals, and they're coming up with ideas, and then they say, hey, this is a great idea, let's do this, and we'll sell it to the universe. See, so that's what I'm saying. It's just one big corporation, not multiple corporate, just one. And eventually they make so many things that they run out of things to make, and they go under. So what am I saying by this? Because there's technology out there, and it's just lost. It's just lost. But tonight we're gonna go on with this alien and see what they're trying to tell us. I think we have much to learn by this, even if this story is real or not. I think whoever wrote it really had a good message. And if nothing else, it should make us all think about who we really are, what we're really doing, what do we really know, and where are we going from here? So with all that, let's continue on with the show. Those are my thoughts for the day. So let me pull up some things. And green giant. Yeah, I went to see the big green giant in Iowa, or no, yeah, Minnesota. It's in Minnesota. They got a big green giant right along the interstate. You get off on the thing, and then there's a big green giant. Paradox fossils, come for the show. You missed all the alien talk, but it was good alien talk. And like I said before, the aliens are, regardless of how it goes, the aliens are fighting among themselves. You got the old empire and the new empire, and the corporations that run them. Basically, it's still all about corporations. They get too big. Think about these corporations. Corporations never die, do they? They just morph into something else. And with that, that's what they do. They become something else. And yeah, corporations around forever. They outlive you and me. They decide the fate of the world. They decide our fate. Why? Because we put it in their hands. They're so big that we can't understand it. It's like that stack of $1 trillion bills I was talking about in the beginning of the part of the show. And if you didn't hear that, you have to go back and listen. But the point is, trillion. Does anybody understand what a trillion is? I mean, it's unimaginable. You imagine 1 trillion years, 1 trillion days. What is 1 trillion days? I wouldn't even know. Hundreds of years? I don't know. Trillions of seconds. What is 1 trillion seconds? I should Google that. Let's do that. Let's Google 1 trillion seconds. Okay, we're going to use the computer against itself. What is a but yeah. What is 1 trillion seconds in years? Because does anybody know? What is 1 trillion seconds in years? Okay, well let's go with a billion. Anybody know what a billion seconds? A billion seconds is equal to what? How many years? Any idea? You know I'm going to tell you anyway. But any idea? Has anybody got an idea what 1 trillion seconds is? It doesn't seem a billion seconds. A billion seconds. That's like a 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds. It's just seconds. A billion seconds is equal to 31 years. That's 31 years. So if you're 31.7 years old, you've lived a billion seconds. You're on your next billion seconds. Now, it's equal to. So, if you have 1 trillion, 1 trillion seconds is equal to 31,709 years. So there you go. 31,709 years if you live 1 trillion seconds, and nobody's living 1 trillion seconds. So, with that said, let's move back on. That was a fun one for today. Paradox got a new micro SD card. Yes, they fill up fast, don't they? Especially when one breaks. I don't like when they break. So what's 60 seconds? 60 seconds is a minute. But I'm saying, Scotty boy, what is a billion seconds? A billion second is 31 years, and 1 trillion. I'm just trying to give you the comparison because in the alien interview, they're talking about trillions of years. If we don't even know what 1 trillion is, how can we even imagine what that amounts to? Okay, so I can pull this up. We're going to start, and then we can find out more about what they're saying. And there is Musgrave Griffin. Hey, Jeannie. There you go. I got to get you on the show one of these days here. Okay, Paradox Fossils. Phone took a dive. I have no idea where anyone's been. Okay. Yeah, 600 micros. I don't know what the difference between a second and a microsecond is. That I don't know. There's Scotty Boy. Hello, you beautiful souls. There you go. Okay, and present. I'm getting on with it. Don't worry. We're here all night. No, not really. Just for an hour. I'm tired. I had to work today, but I'm off tomorrow. And I am going to do some research. I am going to hopefully make some videos. And I am going to get some little rest and relaxation because I need it. And there we go. Ta-da! I can do it. Okay, we're going to pick up where we left off last night. Last night we left off on page 123. And I'll just read the last paragraph so you guys can catch up where we left off. Therefore, I do not look to scientists to save Earth or the future of humanity. Any so-called science that is solely based on the paradigm that exists is composed only of energy and objects moving through space is not a science. Such beings utterly ignore the creative spark originated by the individual ISB and the collective work of the ISBs who continually create the physical universe and all universes. Every science will remain relatively ineffective or destructive to the degree that it omits or devolves the relative importance of spiritual spark that ignites all of creation of life. Basically, they're saying that there is a spiritual spark. What that is, they don't say, but it's created by ISBs. And you and me are an ISB. Okay, so there you go. And science is never always right. There's more to science than just science. That's what it's saying. Unfortunately, this ignorance has been very carefully and forcefully instilled in human beings by the old empire. Oh, wait a minute. Now here's a link. If you guys, any of you guys want to come and talk about this show, and have comments, and you want to come on and chit chat about it for a little bit, I'm more than happy to have you on. So there you go. Check out the link. It's in the comments or the chat. Here you go. There, chat. Okay. Unfortunately, this ignorance has been carefully and forcefully instilled in human beings by the old empire to ensure that ISBs on this planet will not be able to recover their innate ability to create space, energy, matter, and time, or any other component of part of universes, as long as awareness of the immortal power, spiritual self is ignored. Humanity will remain in prison until the day of its own self-destruction and oblivion. Do not rely on the dogma or physical sciences to master the fundamental forces of creation, any more than you would trust the chanted incantations of incense-burning shaman. The net result of both of these is entrapped and oblivion. Scientists pretend to observe, but they only suppose that they see and call it fact. Like the blind man, a scientist cannot learn to see until he realizes that he is blind. The facts of earth science do not include the source of creation. They include only the results of bioproducts of creation. The facts of science do not include any memory of the nearly infinite past experiences of existence. See, so you can't depend on, some scientists saying that thing is 40 billion years old or 10 million years old or the dinosaurs are 65 million years old, because We just can't wrap our head around what a million years would actually be. The essence of creation and existence cannot be found through the lens of a microscope or telescope or by any other measurement of physical universe. One cannot comprehend the perfume of a flower or the pain felt by an abandoned lover with meters and calipers. That's true. Do you ever get your heart broke? Yeah, you get your heart broke. You can't really put a meter on it. You can't say, oh, your heart broke is only 10%, or it's only 5%, or it's 50% broken. You better get to the heart doctor. You and only you can figure out what that means. How can a blind man teach others to see the nearly infinite granites and compromise the spectrum of light? The notion that one can understand the universe without understanding the nature of an ISB is as absurd as conceiving that an artist is a speck of paint on his own canvas, or that the lace of the ballet shoe is the choreographer's vision, or the grace of a dancer, or the electric excitement of opening night. Study of the spiritual, or the study of the spirit, has been booby-trapped by thought control operation through religious superstitions. They instill in the minds of men. Controversially, the study of the spirit and the mind have been prohibited by science, which eliminates anything that is not measurable in the physical universe. Science is the religion of matter. It worships matter. Yeah, that's so true. If you can't prove it by science, then it doesn't exist. That's why, ghosts are made up and Bigfoot doesn't exist, and aliens aren't real, and black holes are kind of there, but they're not. All that good stuff. But then again, so is religion. So they got you on both ends. You got religion who says, hey, this existed and that existed, and these people did this and this and this. And if you follow our doctrine, you too can do it. But how many people do you know that studied the Bible, prayed every day, did all those things, and they still ended up dying in the end? So did it really do them any good? Did they end up with some badass disease and die? That's the whole point. They just followed a different path. They thought they were doing good, and in the end, it got them too. And then the scientists, they study science. Oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna take all my shots, and I'm gonna do that. And they do all these things, and in the end, they die too. They don't get saved. Nobody's getting saved. Why? Because there's all these paths, and none of them are the right one. They all lead you down some empty tunnel to the nothingness. And then you get recycled. That's what it's saying. Okay. The paradigm of science is that creation is all, and the creator is nothing. Religion says that the creator is all and the creation is nothing. These two extremes are the bars of a prison cell. They prevent observation of all phenomena as an interactive whole. Yes, we live in a prison cell, and our free space is between the bars. Study, and that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. So there you go. If you don't like it, well, change the channel. Study of creation without knowing the ISB, the source of creation, is futile. When you sail to the edge of the universe conceived by science, you fall off the end into an abyss of darkness, dispassionate space, and lifeless, unrelenting force. On Earth, you have been convinced that the oceans of the mind and the spirit are filled with gruesome, ghoulish monsters that will eat you alive if you dare to venture beyond the breakwater of superstition. And boy, are there superstitions out there, isn't there? Throw salt over your shoulder, black cat crossing your path. You know, who wasn't told that when you were a kid? Hmm. I think Scotty's boy's right. Have a Captain Coke. There you go. The true genius of civilizations are those ISBs who will enable other ISBs to recover their memory and regain self-realization and self-determination. This issue is not solved through enforcing moral regulation or behavior or through the control of beings through mystery, faith, drugs, guns, or any other dogma of slave society, and certainly not through the use of electric shock, hypnotic commands. I do think that there are ways to get around this, but we have to explore. Problem is, step on a crack and break mama's back. Yeah, remember? And then there was cooties. Yeah, anyway. Neither has such technology ever been developed. Oh, wait a minute. The survival of Earth and everything being on it depends on the ability to recover the memory of skills you have occurred through the trilenia, trillions of years, to recover the essence of yourself, such as art, science, and technology, has never been conceived in the old empire. Otherwise, they would not have resorted to the solution that brought you to your current condition on Earth. Neither has such technology ever been developed by the domain. Until recently, the necessity of rehabilitating an ISB with amnesia has not been needed. Therefore, no one has ever worked on solving this problem. So far, unfortunately, the domain has no solution to offer. Well, but they got trillions of years. They'll figure it out. A few officers of the domain expeditionary force have taken it upon themselves to provide technology to Earth during their off-duty time. These officers leave their dowel at the space station and, as an ISB, assume or take over a biological body on Earth. In some cases, an officer can remain on duty while they inhabit and control their bodies at the same time. This is very dangerous and adventurous undertaking. It requires a very able ISB to accomplish such a mission and return to base successfully. One officer who did this recently, while continuing to tend to his official duties, was known on Earth as the electronics inventor, Nikola Tesla. Well, there you go. I wonder why. It is my intention, although it is not a part of my mission orders, to assist you in your efforts to advance scientific humanitarian progress on Earth. My intention is to help other ISBs to help themselves. In order to solve the amnesia problem on Earth, you will need much more advanced technology, as well as social stability, to allow enough time for research and development of techniques to free the ISB from the body and to free the mind of the ISB from amnesia. Although the domain has a long-term interest in maintaining Earth as a useful planet, it has no particular interest in human population of Earth. Other than its own personnel here, we are interested in preventing destruction, as well as accelerating the development of technologies that will sustain the infrastructures of the global biosphere, hydrosphere, and the atmosphere. To this end, you will discover on very careful and through examination that my spacecraft contains a wide assortment of technology that does not yet exist on Earth. If you distribute pieces of this craft to various scientists for study, they will be able to reverse engineer some of the technology to the extent that Earth has the raw materials required to replicate these components. Well, there you go. No wonder why. So they got it. They probably built a whole bunch of them. Some features will be indecipherable. Other features cannot be duplicated, as Earth does not have the natural resources required to replicate them. This is especially true of the metals used to construct the craft. Not only do these metals not exist on Earth, the refining process required to produce these metals took billions of years to develop. It is also true of the navigation system, which requires an ISB whose own personal wavelength has been specifically attuned to the neutral network of the craft. The pilot of the craft must possess a very high order of energy volation, discipline, training, and intelligence to manipulate such a craft. ISBs on Earth are incapable of this expertise because it requires the use of an artificial body specifically created for this purpose. Certain individual Earth scientists, some of whom are among the most brilliant minds in the history of the universe, will have their memory of this technology jogged when they examine the craft components, just as some of the scientists and physicists on Earth have been able to remember how to recreate electric generators, internal combustion engines, and steam locomotion, refrigeration, aircraft, antibiotics, and other tools of your civilization. They will also rediscover other vital technology in my craft. Well, there you go. Look at that. So they could possibly, hey, there we go, Steph. There you go. Good to see you. When was this book written? In 1947. Apparently, Matilda wrote this down in 47, and this book was interpreted and printed in copyright it's 2008, but I think he wrote it a little before that, right around 2000 or 1990. It was 2008. So there you go, around 2008. So, yeah, 2008. Okay, the following are the specific systems embodied in my craft that contain useful components. There is an assortment of microscopic wiring or fibers within the walls of the craft that control such things as communication, information storage, computer function, and automatic navigation. The same wiring is used for light, sublight, and ultralight spectrum detection and vision. The fabrics of the interior of the craft are far superior to any on Earth at this time and have hundreds or thousands of applications. You will also find mechanisms for creating, amplifying, and channeling light particles or waves as a form of energy. Doesn't that sound like stuff? Here we got the lighting or the wiring microscope. That's my what did they call that? The wiring, the fiber optic wiring, and then the wiring used for light, sublight. We have that stuff too, and vision that's night vision. The fabrics, that could be nylon or carbon fiber. Mechanisms for creating, amplifying, channeling light particles or waves as a form of energy. That could be lasers, plasma. As an officer, pilot, and engineer for the domain forces, I am not at liberty to discuss or convey the detailed operation or construction of the craft in any way, other than what I have just disclosed. However, I am confident that there are many competent engineers on Earth who will develop useful technology with these resources. I am providing these details to you in hope that the greater good of the domain will be served. And there we go. Chapter 12, a lesson in immortality. Wow, I think the following transcript is pretty much self-explanatory. Top secret. Anyway, let's see. Long time. Well, I'm glad you're all here tonight, resting and relaxing. There is a link there if you want to come and join me and talk about this if you want to chime in. Okay, See Scotty Boy there. Subject, alien interview. It would be 1947. Immortal spiritual beings, which I refer to as ISBEs for the sake of convenience, are the source and creators of illusions. Each one, individuality and collectively, in their original unfettered state of being, are an eternal, all-powerful, all-knowing entity. That means each one of you gave us a Velcro. They knew tying shoes was going to be hard. Yeah, didn't you see that episode of Star Trek? You know, the first generation or whatever it was, where the Vulcans crashed and she needed cash, so she sold some Velcro. It explained it all right there. Oh yeah. Anyway, thank you all for coming again. But so all of you are spiritual beings that are so powerful. You are all of these things. Every one of you just have to wake up and realize this. And I think once we wake up and realize that we are these creators, we are all powerful, all knowing entities, I think the veil will be lifted. Now, that's just my thoughts. ISBEs create space by imagining a location. The intervening distance between themselves and the imagined location is what we call space. An ISBE can perceive the space and objects created by other ISBEs. ISBEs are not physical universe entities. They are a source of energy and illusion. ISBEs are not located in space or time, but can create space. Place particles in space, create energy, and shape particles into various forms, cause the motion of forms, and animate forms. Any form that is animated by an ISBE is called life. Yes, there's Lucky. Hey, Lucky knows you're a Star Trek fan. Yes, it was the prequel Star Trek, the one with what was his name? And the Vulcan lady, the gal, and then she was telling about her mother or whatever, where she went to Earth and they crashed, and then they needed money, so she sold some Velcro, and then she gave the money to the kid so he could go to college. Do you remember that one? That's the one I'm talking about. And Scotty Boy is an inventor. See, you imagine to have homemade slip-on shoes, and you did it. Okay, I gotta better get on with this instead of trying to read all the things. ISBEs are not physical universe. Okay, I did that part. So basically, you and me, being an ISBE, we could animate life. Like bringing, Captain Archer, Scott Bakula, that's the guy. Yes, I am so glad that you can remember that stuff. I knew it was the name was on the tip of my tongue because he played in that show with where he did the jumps. He jumped from gosh, I can't remember that show he played on. It was that thing where he jumped from body to body. It'll come to me sooner or later. This disadvantage of creating an illusion is not an illusion, must be continually created. If not continually created, it disappears. Continual creation of an illusion requires inconsistent attention to every detail of the illusion in order to sustain it. So anyway, that's the thing. So if you quantum leap, oh yeah, that's right. Quantum leap. Downtown road. Really? Scott Bakula lived down the road from me in St. Louis. Well, how about that? He's quite the actor, though. Nice. Okay. Common denominator of ISBEs seems to be the desire to avoid boredom. And that's so true. We get bored all the time. A spirit only without interaction with other ISBs, and the unpredictable motion, drama, and unanticipated intentions and illusions begin creating by other ISBs is easily bored. If you could imagine anything, perceive everything, and cause anything to happen at will, what if you couldn't do anything else? What if you always knew the outcome of every game and the answer to every question? Would you get bored? Well, I guess that would after a while. After a while, it'd probably be pretty exciting. The entire back time track of ISBs is immeasurable, nearly infinite in terms of physical universe time. There is no measurable beginning or end for an ISB. They simply exist in an everlasting now. Another common denominator of ISBs is that admiration of one's own illusions by others is very desirable. If the desire administration is not forthcoming, the ISB will keep creating the illusion in an attempt to get admiration. One could say that the entire physical universe is made of unadmired illusions. The origins of the universe begin with the creation of individual illusionary spaces. These were the home of the ISBs. Sometimes a universe is a collaborative creation of illusions by two or more ISBs, a proliferation of ISBs and the universe they create. Sometimes collide or become commingled or merge to an extent that many ISBs shared in the co-creation of a universe. ISBs diminish their ability in order to have a game to play. ISBs think that any game is better than no game. They will endure pain, suffering, and stupidity, privation, and all manner of unnecessary, undesirable conditions just to play the game, pretending that one does not know all, see all, and cause all. It is a way to create the conditions unnecessary for playing a game. Unknowns, freedoms, barriers, and or opponents and goals. Ultimately, playing a game solves the problem of boredom. In this fashion, all the space, galaxies, suns, planets, and physical phenomena of the universe include life forms, places, and events that have been created by ISBs and sustained by mutual agreement that these things exist. There are as many universes as there are ISBs to imagine, build, and perceive them, each existing concurrently with its own continuum. Each universe is created using its own unique set of rules, as imagined, altered, preserved, or destroyed by one or more ISBs who created it. Time, energy, objects, and space are as defined in terms of physical universe may or may not exist in other universes. The domain exists in such a universe, as well as the physical universe. So basically, you can be in the one dimension and then live in another dimension. Dr. Sam Beckett never returned. Oh, yeah, that's right. Sam Beckett never returned home. That was one of the last episodes. He just kept jumping even though the machine broke. I remember it. Yeah, I think they got a new quantum leap, didn't they? Or they canceled it now. Was it that Chinese guy or whatever, Japanese guy? Every ISB is basically good. Therefore, an ISB does not enjoy doing things to other ISBs which they themselves do not want to experience. For an ISB, there is no inherent standard for what is good or bad, right or wrong, ugly or beautiful. These ideas are all based on the opinion of each individual ISB. The closest concept that human beings have to describe an ISB is as a god, all-knowing, all-powerful, infinite. So, how does a god stop being a god? They pretend not to know. How can you play a game of hide and seek if you always know where the other person is hiding? You pretend not to know where the other players are hiding so you can go off to seek them. This is how games are created. You have forgotten that you are just pretending. In so doing, ISBs become entrapped and enslaved inside a maze of their own divining. How does one create a cage? Locks one's own self inside the cage. Throw away the key and forget that there is a key or a cage, and forget there is an inside or an outside, and even forget that there is a self. Create the illusion. Wow, what a creation. That there is no illusion. The entire universe is real, and that there is no universe exists or can be created. On Earth, the propaganda taught and agreed upon is that the gods are responsible and that human beings are not responsible. You are taught that only a god can create universes, so the responsibility for every action is assigned to another Isby or God, never oneself. So there you go. You are your own God. Wake up, people. Wake up. I said wake up. That's it. You are God. You got to wake up. You are creating this illusion. And as soon as you stop illusioning, you can be controller of your own universe, because you are in the cage. You threw away the key and you imagine there's no cage and there's no key and that there is nothingness, and you're here and everything is real. So there you go. Can I say that in any more sentences any faster? Okay. On Earth, no human being ever assumes personal responsibility for the fact that they themselves, individually and collectively, are gods. The fact alone is the source of entrapment for every Isby. Is that not why, when you have religion, that everybody's out there saying, oh, yeah, I put my trust in Jesus. I put my trust in God. Jesus will take care of me. Don't worry. Everything is good. Jesus will care for me all the time. I know, Scotty boy. You're singing in your head. Jesus, take the wheel. Isn't that the one? Oh, how's that go? Where the girl, she's singing, I don't know who sings it, but some girl sings that. Oh, Jesus, just take the wheel, blah, blah, blah. And she's in the car and she's going down the road. And I'm like, every time I hear that song, I just scream out and say, come on, take the wheel. For God's sakes, you're going to go in the ditch. Yeah. Oh, somebody Google it. Yeah, you got me. No, it's that. Now you're going to make me want to look that up. It's that song. It's ringing in my head now. Okay, A Lesson in the Future, chapter 13. We're really whacking them out tonight, aren't we? We might get through this one. I think this transcript speaks for itself also. I relayed Ariel's exact communication as faithfully as possible. My superior officers became very alarmed about the possible military implications of what Ariel said in this interview. Top secret. Carrie Underwood. Oh, you're right on. Carrie Underwood. Yeah, she's pretty good. Okay, it is my personal belief that the truth should not be sacrificed on the altar of political and religious or economic expediency. Whatever. As the officer, pilot, and engineer of the domain, it is my duty to protect the greater good of the domain and its possessions. However, we cannot defend ourselves against forces of which we are not aware. The isolation of Earth from the rest of the civilization prevents me from discussing many subjects with you at this time. Security and protocol prevent me from revealing any of the broadest general statements about the plans and activities of the domain. However, I can give you some information that you will find useful. I must return to my assigned duties on the space station now. I have provided as much help as I feel statically able to offer, given the requirements and the constraints of my duties as an officer, pilot, and engineer of the domain forces. Therefore, I will depart as an Isby from Earth within the next 24 hours. Wow. Okay, the following several paragraphs appear to be personal comments made by Matilda to the stenographer regarding her interview with Ariel. What this means is that Ariel will leave her doll with us as her craft is damaged beyond repair. We can examine, dissect, and study the body at our leisure. She does not have any further use for it. nor does she have any personal feelings or attachments to it, as others are readily available for her use. Ariel does not recommend that there is any technology in the body that Earth scientists will find useful. However, the technology of the body is simple, yet vastly beyond the reckoning of our current abilities to analyze or reverse engineer any facet of it. The body is neither biological or mechanical, but a unique fabrication of materials and ancient technologies not found on any Earth-type planet. As Ariel mentioned previously, a very rigid and distinctive hierarchy of social, economic, and cultural classes exists throughout the domain, which has remained unvaried and inviolate for many millennia. The body type and function assigned to an ISB officer varies specifically according to the rank, class, longevity, training, level, command, level, service record, and materious citations earned by each individual ISB. As with any other military insignia, the body used by Ariel is specifically designed for an officer, pilot, engineer of her rank and class. The bodies of her companions, which were destroyed in the crash, were not the same rank or class, but a junior rank. Therefore, the appearance, features, composition, and functionality of those bodies were specialized and limited to the requirements of their duties. The junior officers whose bodies were damaged in the crash have left their bodies and returned to their duties on the space station. The damage suffered by their bodies was due primarily to the fact that they were officers of a lower rank. They used bodies which were partially biological and therefore far less durable and resilient than hers. Okay. At this point, the transcript appears to resume with statements made by Ariel. Although the domain will not hesitate to destroy any active vestiges of the old empire operations wherever they are discovered, this is not our primary mission in this galaxy. I am sure that the old empire mind control mechanisms can be deactivated and destroyed eventually. However, it is not possible to estimate how long it may take, as we do not understand the extent of this operation at this time. We do not know that the old empire force screen is vast enough to cover this end of the galaxy at least. We also know from experience that each force generator and trapping device is very difficult to detect, locate, and destroy. Also, it is not the current mission of our domain expeditionary force to commit resources to this endeavor. The eventual destruction of these devices may make it possible for your memory to be restored simply by virtue of not having to erase after each lifetime. Fortunately, the memory of an ISB cannot be permanently erased. There are many other active space civilizations who maintain various nefarious operations in this area, not the least of which is dumping unwanted ISBs on Earth. None of these craft are hostile or violent opposition to the domain forces. They know better than to challenge us. Yeah, that must be a powerful force. For the most part, the domain ignores Earth and its inhabitants, except to ensure that the resources of the planet itself are not permanently spoiled. This meaning maybe nuclear weapons? Well, this sector of the galaxy was annexed by the domain and its possessions of the domain to do with or dispose of as it deems best. The moon of Earth and its asteroid belt have become a permanent base for operations for the domain forces. Needless to say, any attempt by humans or others to interfere in the activities of the domain and this solar system, even if it were possible, which it definitely is not, will be terminated swiftly. This is not a serious concern, as I mentioned earlier, since Homo sapiens cannot operate in open space. Okay, of course, we will continue with the next steps of the domain expansion plan, which has remained on schedule for billions of years. Over the next 5,000 years, there will be increasing traffic and activity in the domain forces as we progress towards the center of the galaxy and beyond to spread our civilization through the universe. Well, think of it, guys. Only 5,000 years to wait. And then they'll probably destroy those inhibitors and we'll be free. 5,000 years, that ain't much. Earth is isolating the rest of the universe. Is a protection or punishment solid? Yes, it is. If humanity is to survive, it must cooperate to find effective solutions to the difficult conditions of your existence on Earth. Humanity must rise above its human form and discover where they are. That they are Isbies and who they really are as Isbies in order to transcend the notion that they are merely biological bodies. Once these realizations have been made, it may be possible to escape your current imprisonment. Otherwise, will be no future for the Isbies on Earth. Although there are no active battles or war being waged between the domain and the old empire, there still exists the covert actions of the old empire taken against Earth through their thought control operation. When one knows that these activities exist, the effects can be observed clearly. The most obvious examples of these actions against the human race can be seen as incidents of sudden, inexplicable behavior. A very recent instance of this occurred in the United States military just before the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. Just 3 days before the attack, someone in authority ordered all the ships in Pearl Harbor to go into port and secure it for inspection. The ships were ordered to take all the ammunition out of their magazines and store it below. On the afternoon before the attack, all of the admirals and generals were attending parties, even though 2 Japanese aircraft carriers were discovered standing right off Pearl Harbor. The obvious action to take would have been to contact Pearl Harbor by telephone to warn them of the danger of the fight starting, and to put the ammunition back and order ships to get out of the port into open sea. Well, there you go. Okay, 6 hours before the Japanese attack began, the U.S. Navy ship sank a small Japanese submarine right outside the harbor. Instead of contacting Pearl Harbor by telephone to report the incident, a warning message was put into top secret code, which took about 2 hours to encode, and then it took another 2 hours to decode. The word of warning to Pearl Harbor did not arrive until 10 a.m. Pearl Harbor time, Sunday, 2 hours after the Japanese attack destroyed the U.S. fleet. How do things like this happen? Well, we're going to stop right there because we're running out of time. And we got 3 minutes to talk about other stuff. So let's stop sharing. Boom, just like that. Anyway, so remember, somehow or that old domain, makes people do things they normally wouldn't do. Don't let yourself be mind controlled. Remember, propaganda is propaganda, and you have the power to resist. We just don't know it. Just look at the television. It's television. Lies. Now remember, okay. So anyway, speaking of that, we are going to get on Sunday night. Join me with Nina the Mystic as we get on to our new book that we're going to read together, which is this book right here, Horns of the Goddess by Dolores Cannon. Now, she was a famous gal who did a lot of hypnosis on people and found out their past lives. Now, here's my thoughts. This kind of all boils down together with this alien interview. All our thoughts are in our Isby. Like Ariel said, you can't erase the thoughts completely. You can just suppress them. So what Dolores is doing is going in there and livening them up. And she wrote them all down for us to read on a rainy day. So I hope you enjoy joining me and Nina on Sin Day Live starting this Sunday. And join us there where we'll be reading. And this book is about kind of about the Druids way back in the day. So Saturday night, I'm going to have a show about Druids with Dalibor Suchi Saturday night. So join me Saturday night right here on the Milky Way Soul Tribe. Remember, people, go out, do something nice for somebody. And remember to be the frequency you want to receive, everyone. Love you all. Peace, everybody.